As we wrap up 2023 and head into 2024, I just wanted to offer some foundational tools that I use that I'm hoping can support you, because I feel like we could all use a lot of support in our lives. And the tools that I use, the practices that I have changed the way I live, changed the way I engage. And I can honestly say that I live a joyful life. And I never thought that I would be here and be able to say that to you. And it's my truth. So I want this for you. I want this for the world. And so I'm going to share an acronym with you that holds foundational pieces that are really important to my practices every day in my life. Before I give you the acronym, I just want to share with you some views about trauma. You've all heard me talk about trauma over the last couple of years, and being trauma sensitive and trauma aware is so important for the conditions that we're living in our world. And when I'm talking about trauma, I'm not talking about getting embedded into the stories of our trauma that we've experienced. I'm talking about being able to get regulating our nervous system so that we can get present versus living in the past or the future and being in reaction to just about everything in our lives. Trauma is something that I believe each one of us experiences on a daily basis. We've got collective traumas, which are our shared traumas, which was COVID, which are wars, climate change, all of that. And then we've got little t traumas, which are the traumas that we deal with every day, whether we're bullied, whether we're put down, whether we don't feel safe, someone says something and it just triggers you. So most of us are walking around in reactive states. And those reactive states from trauma are fight, flight, fawn, and freeze. And so if you look at the world and you look at yourself, you can really see that, rather than being present, we are either anticipating trauma or we are avoiding trauma, right? Like we're either in a hyper arousal state, which is looking for danger, or we're in a hypoarousal state, which is just being kind of shut down and depressed. None of that is wrong. None of that is bad. It is just what is. And so I want to normalize this. I want you to know that if you've experienced trauma, if you experience it every day, that's okay. You are normal, right? It's so important to just recognize that we are all in this together. Trauma is real. We've all experienced it, and we were not taught how to move through it. We were not taught how to navigate. So most of us are armored up and defensive and living out, the reactions, whether it's fight, which is I'm going to get bigger and defend myself, and I'm going to be right. I'm going to be right no matter what. Fight is just a state of, it's energetic, and it's like, oh, hell no, right? Flight is avoidance. Like you see somebody and you're like, oh, I don't want to have that conversation. I'm out of here. So you leave, or you see something, you're like, I just got to slither away over here. That also takes energy. So most of us are in fight, flight, or fawn, and fawn is where we really let go of our own needs and we focus on other people's needs. And we do everything we can to meet those needs, to garner our self-esteem, to feel better about ourselves. And so we just avoid dealing with what's actually going on here. And then there's freeze. And if we're overwhelmed, we feel like we are in just danger, or something said that was just so hurtful, and we just shut down. We just clamp down. And we can't really say anything or do anything. We're just kind of frozen. Those are the responses. Those are the reactions to trauma. And if you look at the world is engaging in all of those right now. And it's really overwhelming. And so I believe more than anything that regulating your nervous system is the answer to you feeling good in your life. And I have got so many tools and so many practices to regulate your system. And I never really knew how dysregulated I was until I started doing this work. And I can say now that my reactive state is not the norm. My regulated state is the norm. I still go into reaction, do not get me wrong, but I am so aware when it even starts. I'm like, oh, okay, here it goes. So that is an indication that it's time for me to pause and take care of myself and to bring myself back into my body and to let myself know that I'm safe and that I've got myself. Okay, so that's kind of context for what CREATE is about, the acronym that I'm going to share with you, because I just want you to create your best life. And I know that when you create your best life, other people will create their best lives. And I desire a ripple effect to take place so this world can be a safer, more attuned, more connected place that's safe for all of us to live in. So, creating the life you want. Here's the acronym. C is for curiosity. Curiosity is an essential nutrient that feeds our soul, right? It's where we learn, it's where we're inquisitive, it's where we can gain new perspectives, new understandings, where we're open, where we don't have to be right about something, where we can be humbled and be like, wow, I never thought of that perspective. That's so potent. Tell me more, right? So that's really a key to your growth, to being regulated. R is for regulation, and that is nervous system regulation. And that is everything. So it's learning tools and practices that can bring you back to you, bring you back to your body, take you from this reactive state of fight, flight, fawn, or freeze to coming back into your body, breathing and reassuring yourself that you've got you, that you're safe. You know, whether your little kid inside of you is so scared that you've got that little kid that just needs some attention, right? That you can actually nurture yourself to a place of calm, safety, grounded, and a sense that you've got you, that you're not outsourcing your well-being to others, that you trust yourself to be there for you. It's so powerful and so empowering. And if we're not regulated, if we do not have regulation, we cannot be curious because we're usually too defended. So we get back into those fight, flight, fawn, or freeze. And we need to be regulated in order to learn and grow and hear new perspectives and gain new understanding of things. And to be open. And it doesn't mean you have to agree. It just means that like, wow, I'm curious and that was really interesting to hear your perspective. And we don't need to make anyone right, wrong, good, or bad. We can just learn and grow and understand ourselves and each other on a deeper level. E is for embodiment. And E is it's really one of my favorites. I used to avoid embodiment. You know, growing up in a culture that didn't really teach me about my body, I really avoided my body. And so I lived from my neck up, and I think most people do live from their necks up. And so learning to be embodied, to drop into your body, you will gain so much wisdom. Our body has incredible sensations, whether it's pain or pleasure. Our body informs us about how we're doing. And if we're cut off from her or him or they, then we can't access the wisdom, right? We just can't. And so doing breath work, moving your body, taking time to digest situations and noticing how you feel will change the way you engage. And shifting from figuring it out here, which is, I call the head a very dangerous neighborhood because it's usually filled with a lot of negative thoughts, to dropping into your body and seeing how you feel changes also the way you are going to respond or react to things. So CREA. A is for attunement. And I love attunement. Attunement is undivided attention and unconditional acceptance. And I have always been able to give undivided attention to people. So, when you're talking to somebody, whether it's a partner, a spouse, a child, and you're having a conversation and they get distracted, it just doesn't feel good. Or you're talking to somebody and they're on their phone and you're trying to share something really meaningful, but they're just not with you. It doesn't feel good. So undivided attention is essential to connecting. And I give myself undivided attention when I notice that my nervous system is reactive, right? I pause, I tune into myself, and I give myself that attention without any distractions. And unconditional acceptance is key. It's not that I necessarily approve of the things that I may have done or said. It means that I accept myself. I don't make myself wrong. And I just have compassion for myself. So attunement automatically brings in compassion, right? Where it's like, most of us grew up not having our needs met and not having our needs validated. And that's trauma. That's the definition of trauma. Not having your needs met and not having your needs validated. So what I'm doing in my attunement practice is meeting my own needs, and I am validating my needs rather than thinking, that's so stupid, I can't believe you need that, or you said that, or blah, 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 right? This judgment, which is a trauma response. So attunement to you is everything. And to put down our electronics, to just presence yourself so you can give yourself the attention you need will change everything. T is for trauma sensitivity. And that's just also the recognition that it's normal. I don't need to make myself wrong. Having triggers or, something can happen and all of a sudden you're triggered, and we just usually judge the crap out of ourselves. And understanding that all of us are dealing with some form of trauma or some form of trauma reactiveness opens the doors to compassion as well. It's very connected to attunement. And it's connected to curiosity. And it's connected to embodiment. And it's connected to being regulated. And E, the last letter, is for expansion. When we give ourselves this room, when we give ourselves the attunement, and we give ourselves the compassion for what we are going through from any type of trauma or trauma response, it changes everything. And when we expand our ability to hold more, to receive more, to engage more, to love more, to be loved more, right? It's limitless. And I think expansion is so magical. And oftentimes when we go into expansion, it just feels so good. And what happens is we go into contraction. So they are kind of one of the same, because it's scary to take new ground. It's scary to feel really good in a world that doesn't feel so good or so safe. And I am here to create a revolution of love and safety and belonging and connection through trauma sensitivity, through being able to be so kind to ourselves. It's so important, and you're so worthy of that. So in order to create the life that feels good, we must be curious. We must have nervous system regulation. We must be connected to our bodies, get out of our minds and get into our bodies. Being attuned to ourselves, bringing that compassion and kindness is everything, because that ripples out to other people as well. Understanding that all of us live in a traumatic state at different periods of time, and to have compassion for that and to be curious is so important. And to give yourself the gift of expansion, of growth, of taking new ground, of bringing the joy into your life that you have been so hungry for. You are worthy of that. So I live by this CREATE acronym. And if you want more information and you want to go deeper, I invite you to reach out to me. And I would love to support you, because I think now more than ever, it's time for us to rise into the versions of ourselves that we have so desired. And the way the world would have it is to have us all shrink in fear. And I am a no for that. So if you are a no for that, reach out to me. I would love to support you. I wish you a beautiful holiday season, and I wish for you to be regulated so that you can live the life you've been dreaming of.